Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the next part of the tutorial series. This part, I decided to switch it up. I know I said I want to do like the pause menu or the start menu for the game, but I actually want to go ahead and start working on getting damaged and taking damaged. And we can go back to that later. So the first thing I created was this little spike trap that whenever we walk over, if we get off it fast enough, it'll still trigger, but then it'll go back down slowly. And then if we stand on it, we'll get a little bit of damage. We'll blink. You'll see it. Our health integer went down a little bit. And if we walk back over, it'll trigger it again. And it won't hurt us until it resets completely. So if it goes back down, boom, we get hit again. All right, so let's go ahead and set this whole thing up. We're going to start from the beginning. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to go to our, whatever your blueprint folder is. I already created this. Like I said, I like to work ahead. So we're going to create a new one. Blueprint class. We're going to call this actor. And we're going to call this our spikes BP. Oh, it's saying that because I've already created it. So we just do spikes BP 2 for me. So let's open this up. And of course, I'm using assets that I downloaded a while ago. You can always swap out whatever I do with whatever assets you have available, or your own assets if you've created your own stuff. So what we're gonna need to add is our static mesh, floor. I'll call this floor. We need another one. Static mesh. This one we're going to call our spikes. And we're going to need 2 collision boxes. So we're going to go collision box. We need 2. This one's going to be our auto collision. This one is going to, whenever the player overlaps this one, it's going to trigger the spikes to go up and down. And we need 1 more box collision. We're going to call this one spike collision. So this one can go off. We can attach that to the default scene root. And this one we're going to attach to the spikes. So let's go ahead and swap it, put in our meshes. And this is the one I'm using. And of course, like I said, swap out these assets or meshes with whatever you have available. You could even just do a basic square just to have it a placeholder. So we're going to do that. Obstacle 1A spike. And let's do this. We got to make our box collision bigger. So we're going to call this 40. Is it 40 big enough? Let's do 40 by 40. That's big enough. And then 40 again. 35. 40. Why not 40? Whatever. If you're anywhere near these things, you're getting damaged. 36. It's going to bother me if it doesn't look exactly right. So 40, 40, 36. Cool. And now for our auto collision, we need to make this bigger, obviously, than the whole thing, because it needs to trigger as soon as the player gets near it. So 45, 45, not big enough. 50, 50. That should be good. And then we're going to change the height to 25. That should be good enough. 25, maybe 20. Because I don't want it to trigger while you're in the air, because you could be coming down from a jump and then land on it and then it comes back up. So we want to keep the game somewhat fair. So let's go ahead and do that. Boom. Compile, save. Now a variable we're going to need is this. The Z location. And that's going to need to be a float. And what this is for is that our spikes need to go up and down. And that's going to be on the Z. On this Z axis right here. So the highest is 30 and the lowest is negative 30 for me. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to change our slider range, and you're going to see how this is going to play out. So the max value is 30 for both, because we never want to go higher than that, and the lowest value is negative 30. Boom, boom. And you can see how this works if I do this. Go to the construction script. Let's set spike. Here we go. I need to get the spikes. Set relative location. Split. And then we're going to add our Z location right here. Boom. Compile and save. And now you'll see whenever I slide this value up and down, our spikes move. That way you can get a glimpse of what it's going to look like in game. And you have to have your spike collision, a child of the spikes so that they follow it. So there we go. And now we're going to need 2 more variables. We're going to need a few more, not just 2. But we're going to need auto. And basically what this is going to do is compile and save. And we're going to have this as an open variable. This is going to decide if we even want this to function. If it's yes, then obviously we want the spikes to go up and down. Or we can say no, and we might just want to leave the spikes sitting up so that the player knows that it's a hazard down there and not to land on it. Or not to walk into it at all. So there's that. And then we also going to need another Boolean overlap player. And then compile and save. And our Z location, it also needs to be open as well because we're going to change that in the game if we wish. So now, the first thing we're going to need to do is our auto collision. So let's go here. And we need the begin overlap. Boom. Okay, so now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to check if we're overlapping our player character. First off, get class equal key. So if it equals our player character, whatever you named your player character, if that's true, then we need to set our overlapping player to true. And you're going to see where this is going to come in at in a second. And also, we need to check and we need to check if our auto is even a thing. Because if this auto is not even a function, then we don't need to go through the rest of this. It can just stop right here. Now, we're going to check if it's overlapping the player here. We're going to set this to true because, as you saw, if I stand over the trap and it comes up and then it goes back down, if the player is still there, we want the trap to come back up. So that's what that's for. So let's do once because we only want to do this one time. And we don't want it to trigger because we're making it multiplayer minded. We don't want it to go when the first player comes on and then trigger it again and then goes through with it. So we don't want that to happen at all. So we're going to create a timeline. Spike timeline. Boom, boom. And we're going to edit our timeline. And we need a float. And we're going to call this rename spike. Z location. So now the first value we need to add is our lowest value. So that's -30 for us. For me. Find out what it is for you and then add it to that. Then add another one. And then after 1 second, we're going to auto trigger it to shoot up. So after 1 second, we're still going to be at -30. Then we're going to add another one at 1.2. 1.2, 1.1. I'm gonna say 1.2. 0.2 seconds should be good enough. Then we're gonna shoot up to our highest point. Then we're gonna add another one. It's going to stay there for about 2 seconds. 2, 3, 3.2. Still at 30 at our highest point. And then after that, at the last moment, we're going to go all the way back down. I probably messed this up. No, I didn't. Boom. Boom. Okay, we got all our points on. Good. Compile, save. Go back to the event graph. Now we're going to need our spikes. Set relative location, update, split, and we're going to just set this Z location right here. Boom. Now, this will actually work. Let's go ahead and compile and save. So let's make the new one we made, this one. Set our Z location to the bottom and turn auto to true. Once we walk over it, Boom. Our spikes come up and they go back down. So now what we need to do is we need to make it to where it checks if the player is still standing there. So we're going to go to branch, overlap player. If this is still true, also, wait a minute. We need to change this from play, because what's going to happen is after the first time, it's going to be at the end and it's going to just stay at the end. So we need to play it from the start every single time. So if we're still overlapping the player, then we're going to set it back to play from the start. And if it's false, we're going to reset this. That means we're no longer overlapping the player. We can completely reset it. So now we're going to do this. On our auto collision, we're going to do the end overlap. We're going to do equal. Wait, we're going to get class. Let me just copy this from here, because we're going to do this a lot. Control C, Control V. We're going to be copying this a lot. So now if the actor that leaves the overlap is our player character, we're going to set the overlap to false. So then it knows to reset this after the animation is finished, of course. So now let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Stand on this, boom, it works. And if we go back down, if it detects it's still there, it shoots back up again. Here is we're gonna have to change our spikes, our collision. We're gonna change our spike collision to overlap all. We don't want it to push the player. We don't want to push the player at all. So now the next thing, whoops. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to actually cause our spikes to damage our player. And that's going to be done with our spike collision. So now let's go here. We need to get on begin overlap for our spike collision. So we're going to get this again. Not that part, just the get class and the branch part. Duplicate this. I did Control D. Other actor. So now we're going to cast, if it equals our player, we're going to cast to said player. Boom, 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 boom. And now we need to check something from the Aki character. And we're going to have to create this variable. So in our Aki character, you're going to need to create a variable called can take damage. And it has to be a Boolean. I've already created it, and it's already hooked up a few ways, so of course I can't delete it right now. So after we cast the Aki, we're gonna call that can take damage. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get if it can take damage. And then branch. If it's true, if it's false, we don't need to worry about this. If it's true, we're going to, as Aki, apply damage. And the damage we're going to apply is 1. And after that, we're going to launch the character, because when we get hit, we want the character to kind of have some kind of feedback where he moves away or goes up or some direction from whatever just damaged him. So we're going to launch. I got to do it from the Aki. Launch character. And so for this, we're going to promote to a variable. And I like to do variables because you never know. I like to make stuff easily interchangeable. Because if I could have done it to where it only shoots you in the Z axis to where it goes up as needed, because that's the example, it's going out of the floor. But let's say we want the spikes to come out of the wall. So I don't want to have to create this all over again or go back and adjust. So let's make everything easily adjustable. So we're going to have our XY override, make it open. Z override, make it open. And it's instance edible. I'm saying open, but instance edible. And then launch velocity, promote to variable. And we're going to make that instance editable as well. And then we are done with the spikes completely. Completely done with the spikes. And let's see what they look like in game. So now you can see what it looks like in game. For this particular one, we only need to override the z-axis because that's where we're shooting the player upwards. And then we can change it right here. What did I change it to? 400, I believe. And you can play with these numbers as you like. Change it to 400. Now watch how this works. We get on top. Boom. He gets hit and he jumps off. When he gets hit, the character flies up. MashaAllah. Now my character is blinking and we have not set that up for you yet. So let's go ahead and get that set up now. So we have our player character open, and what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to override one of our functions. We need to override the damage function. We're going to override the any damage. And if we need to go back and change it, we can. But for now, we just need the any damage. So we need to truncate this. And what this does is it's just going to turn it into an integer. And I think it's always rounds down. So negative 1.6 becomes negative 1. 1.6 becomes 1. Okay, cool. Round towards 0. Not makes it round down, but round towards 0. So we need to truncate this because our character is just going to use basic health integer. 1, 2, 3. That's how much health he's going to have. So we need to set our health. And we need to get our health right here. Oops, wrong one. Get health. And we need to subtract our health by the damage. So whatever damage that be, if it's 1 heart, 2 heart, whatever. We need to subtract our health. Let's go to print string and let's go ahead and make sure that's working. And now you'll see once we go over this spikes and it hits us, our health is just shot down 0, 1, 2. That means it did it one too many times. But we're going to go ahead and fix that. Back in here, we're going to go ahead and delete this. Don't need it right now. After we take damage, obviously we want to set our can take damage to false. So this will fire off one time. And then what we're going to do is this. We're going to do a sequence. For our sequence, we're going to, on the 0, flip-flop. We're going to flip-flop here. And we're going to turn this to not. Because the first thing it's going to take is the A. So we're going to change this to not. And the reason being is because when our player gets hit, we're going to do a blinking effect. And we need to go ahead and turn his visibility off. So the first thing it's going to take is this A. So we need to say is A not. So now when it says A and it's true, it's going to come up as false. So we just need to reverse it. That's why I call that not. So set, and we're going to get our parent for all of this. The mesh, this mesh is a parent for all of this. So however you got your assets set up, whatever is the root, like let's say you have a body with clothes or another modular part, modular character, you need to go to the root. And then we're going to set visibility to whatever this is. And we need to check this propagate to children. That means it's going to change the mesh and all of these to exactly whatever the mesh is. So after that, we're going to need a delay. And we'll keep the 0.2 seconds. That should be fine. And then branch, we're going to check something. Is the can take damage true? If it's false, we're going to go back to here. And we're going to keep blinking. Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, we got something going. And we're going to put the B here as well. Both of these need to go to the same exact spot. Now, when this is B, it's going to say, is this not A? And it's going to say true. So it's going to set the visibility back to true. Now, while that's going on, we need to do this. Another delay. And for this one, we're going to do 3 seconds. And after 3 seconds, we're going to set our can take damage to true. And then we'll get our mesh right here. Then we'll set visibility to true and propagate it to the children as true. And just like that, we are all set. So now let's do one quick test to make sure everything's set up and working properly. We fall on it. Boom. And we're not getting hurt. Then, boom, we're doing it again. Now we're taking damage slowly, but not back to back. It's repeating. Everything's set up functionally. And now you'll see what these variables really did for us. So now if I change this to off, and I just set it to the max and play, you'll see once it stops lagging. There we go. Once it stops lagging, that now it won't move. And if we just walk into it, you take damage without it having to go up and down. Or for the opposite, you might just say you don't want that at all. You might just want to just have a regular floor. It goes here and nothing happens. No damage, nothing. You can just walk over it and fake the player out. I don't know why I'm lagging so much. I got to check that. And the other benefit to doing it like this is that now if we do this, if we come over here, let's say we put it up against the wall, rotate it 90 degrees, negative 90. If we do this and we turn auto on, we don't need the Z override now. Now we just need that. We need the, what is this? Is that X? That's X. So now we want to just do the X. I believe that's X. And we'll change the X to 400. And then XY override. Now check this out. If we play this out now, watch what happens when we walk beside this thing, get out of there. Boom, the spikes come out the side of the wall. And if this time now if they hit us, it pushes us a little bit backwards this way. Did it push us back? Let's see. It did, but not a lot. Let's do it more. Let's do 4,000. Go here. There we go. It pushes us back. But 4,000 is obviously too much. But that's why we did these variables like that. So that was a quick little tutorial. The next part, I believe we're going to go ahead. I do know we're going to go ahead and set up how the hearts should look, like the health UI should look for the player, because it's going to be different. It's not going to be typical, because if we have two players, we don't want a whole lot of UI taking up the screen. So we're going to set our UI up in a way that's good for both players. Thank you for watching. I hope this benefited you, inshallah. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you need any help with anything. I can try to help as much as I can. And inshallah, I'll see y'all next time. Assalamualaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.